My name's Natalie Prowse. I'm the course leader for law at the University of Huddersfield.
Good morning. I'm Shamim Miah. I am a corporate commercial solicitor at ICE and Harrison, and I'm proud alumni of Huddersfield University.
Hi, I'm Sophie Spowage-Hill, final year LLB law student.
So the reason why I ended up studying law was a careers advisor at school looked at my grades and said, oh, you might like to be a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer. And I'm scared of blood, so I definitely wasn't going to be a doctor. I liked maths, but didn't really want to do it all the time, so didn't want to be an accountant. So I guess it was going to be law. But I think the thing about law is there's something under that umbrella for everybody, whether it's corporate, commercial that you're interested in, or whether it's coming at it from a social justice angle. There's something in law for everybody. How about you?
Mine's quite similar to you, Natalie. I think everything kind of starts in high school, doesn't it, when you have the careers fairs, the careers events. And mine kind of started in year 10 when we had a careers fair, and it was lunchtime. All my friends kind of came back from that, very enthusiastic, and everybody on the table kind of went around and said what they wanted to be. And I think there was about 8, 9, 10 people on the table, and I was the last one, so all the things got taken. So the doctors, the engineers, the accountants, and I kind of just went with the first thing that came to my head, which was be a lawyer. And I've somehow just kind of stuck to that. But I think for me, kind of going back to why I would choose being a lawyer, I always wanted to do something quite professional, something that I could wear a suit in, look good all the time, and kind of, quite prestigious. I think for me, I'm the eldest out of 4 siblings, but I've got 32 cousins just on my mum's side. So wow. I'm the eldest out of so many grandchildren. So I always felt that pressure to be something good.
A good example.
Exactly. I'll try my best to. And that's why I wanted to study law, become a lawyer.
Hopefully it wasn't a happy accident for you, Sophie.
Well, I had a 5-year plan to become a journalist. Didn't like media studies at all. It was really similar to English, actually. It's basically the same. And I was the only person in my tutor group who didn't do the law. So I was like, I'll just do law. And then I chose a law degree.
So there wasn't a law A-level when I attended at Greenhead College. Those people local to Huddersfield all know Greenhead. So I did a whole bunch of A-levels before coming to Huddersfield to study law. So I've done all my qualifications here, my law degree, my legal practice course, and then I've later come back and done my master's here, and I'm now studying for my PhD. So I've worked at the university for 10 years.
Wow.
What was your route into law?
I think again it started when I was in high school. I was never very academic, so there was an opportunity to be mentored by a solicitor from Pinsent Masons, and you needed to be in the top 2 sets to kind of apply for that mentorship. But I was in the 3rd or the 4th set, so I couldn't apply. So what I did instead was when the mentors came in, I kind of just snuck into the room, and one of the teachers, she's called Miss Sutcliffe, she saw me in the room and she was like, what are you doing here? But she never kicked me out. And somehow I managed to bag a mentor from Pinsent Masons, which is quite a prestigious law firm. And I think ever since then, that was kind of my start of my route into law. He was a really, really good mentor, but he was a property lawyer, so I wasn't, he was quite boring. However, he really helped me out. He taught me about the different avenues. And similar to you, I didn't do any law A-levels, but somehow I still ended up doing the degree at Huddersfield.
Sophie, did you study law at A-level?
I did, yeah. I had a fabulous teacher who, without her, I probably wouldn't have felt that a degree in law was even accessible. But she was just absolutely amazing and helped all of us throughout our applications and teaching us more beyond the subject.
I think whether you study law at A-level or not, our courses cover all the skills that you need to know to give a really good grounding in the first year. So it doesn't matter whether you've studied law at A-level or not.
Yeah, I think there's a module called CONAD, or Constitutional and Administrative Law. Do we still do it? Or?
Call it public law now.
Public law, okay.
Yeah.
Right. It was really good. I think that gave you a good foundation as to what was coming in the next couple of years. I think, as you say, the law degree itself is set up. So even if you are starting afresh, or even if you don't want to do law in the end, you still get a good breadth You can do different modules, company law, commercial, immigration, anything you want, which is really cool.
So we have an activity that we call mooting, which is about arguing a legal point in court, and it's about really developing students' confidence to run that sort of mock trial activity. We run advocacy as a second year module, so you can either do that as extracurricular through the mooting or advocacy in the second year. And to make it really authentic, we bring judges in from outside who sit in court. So it isn't just your tutor playing the judge. It's somebody who's a member of the judiciary for real. Sophie, you've taken part in the mooting activities, haven't you?
I did, yes. Through the end of first year to the start of second year, and it was in my second year that I was chosen to be lead counsel. Absolute nervous wreck I was. But I had a friend who had the opportunity to go to the Supreme Court and speak in first year, and she was just so supportive and so lovely that I made it through it. And the judge that was marking now.
Yeah, you're assessing.
Yeah, assessing,
judging the competition.
Yeah. He was actually Huddersfield alumni, so that was really cool to see.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So in terms of other activities that we offer at the university, we have a legal advice clinic on campus where members of the public can access free legal advice from our students, supervised by our members of staff. So it's a pro bono free legal clinic, and that's really our service to the community. So students will see that member of the public, they will go away and they will research the advice that client needs, and they will, under the supervision of their tutors, write up a letter of advice to go out to that client. And that can be on a range of matters, really. So we give a range of advice on lots of different legal topics, from family law to housing to consumer rights. I remember supervising a case where a client had bought a motorhome on eBay and it had stopped working, and they wanted to know whether they got any redress. So it can be anything. And it's really for members of the public who can't afford legal advice, that they can still access that. So we sort of take our community social justice role really, really seriously. Sophie, you've been involved with the legal advice clinic.
I have been, yeah. Had the opportunity to sit on solicitor sessions, so many different areas of law, and you learn so many things about that area of law. But it was a really great experience to see how the solicitors interact with clients, which we then, as the student advisors, had the opportunity to put into practice when we did our own interviewing skills, which, yeah, it was really helpful, and it's an experience that's hopefully going to get me a job.
We wouldn't be able to run the clinic without the support of local firms like Ice and Harrison. So having alumni come back and supervise our students in the clinic is really, really important.
I think it's really impressive that Huddersfield have that sort of offering, because not every university has their own, law clinic, and having the students have that experience firsthand, being able to be in a room with a client who's probably under a lot of stress, has a problem, and being able to kind of manufacture a solution for them is really, really good experience, because obviously being in a classroom, doing your exams is, part and parcel of becoming a good law student. But becoming a good lawyer is having that practical on-hand experience and, being in person, being able to communicate, having that emotional intelligence to, guide that client. I never got involved in the law clinic, and it's probably a big regret of mine. But in terms of other things that we did, so the mooting is obviously another great example. I'm not too sure that the barrister route was for me, so I kind of always stayed away from it, and I wasn't the best litigator. However, in terms of other kind of mooting experiences that I've had, I've always wanted to represent people, maybe not in court, but I've really enjoyed politics. And I think through the degree and through modules that we've had, I've learned how to speak, how to articulate, again, how to communicate with clients, and that has really helped.
I remember you showing me a video when you were at university of you appearing in the youth parliament, and I just found it so impressive.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I think it's things like that that really made me stand out on my application. So, Sophie, when you're doing your applications, the first thing that you're going to write down is law clinic, mooting. For me, it was me getting involved in youth politics. So, by way of background, when I was 18, 19, I was voted in by the young people of Leeds to be the member of Youth Parliament for Leeds and represent them in the House of Commons. And again, doing the degree, it really helped me when I was at the dispatch box, trying to be, trying to do my best Boris Johnson, um, kind of character and put myself forward. But again, yeah, great experiences, great for CVs, and that's really how you stand out. Because law is such a competitive field, isn't it? Natalie, you know yourself, Sophie, you're going to be in it, but hopefully you're going to have these things to set yourself aside from the competition.
Every law student at every university will gain their academic qualifications, but as you say, competition for legal jobs, legal careers is has always been fierce. Even going back to when I was applying sort of 20 plus years ago, and it's really all the extra things that you can put on your CV. So whether it's mentoring, whether it's the legal advice clinic, and really accessing a network of contacts. So that brings us on to the professional mentoring scheme that we've offered at Huddersfield for a long time now. But really in the last few years, it's really developed. So we have 40 solicitors and 40 students. Most of those solicitors are our alumni, and they come back and mentor the students. We have a launch night in January where we put on some drinks, put on some food, and we really are involved with trying to recreate a mentoring scheme, trying to recreate a networking event. And that's something that students will have to do when they go into legal practice to try to win work. That people will be required to do networking. It's something that people find quite challenging. So to practice it at university in a supportive environment is a really nice opportunity. So what happens is the students speak to as many of the lawyers as they can on that evening, and at the end of the evening they pick their top 3 solicitors that they would like to mentor them, and we match everybody up, and that's the start of the process. So the mentor commits to a CV check and a face-to-face or in-person meeting. And Shamim, you've mentored some of our students. You come back year after year and support them. Do you want to tell us a bit about what that involves?
It's such a good experience for me as well, being a student, now being a lawyer, being able to give back, it's really good for me. I get to meet new students every year who have different aspirations, different, things that they want to do. And that's why I keep coming back. I think, like you say, going back to the competitive side of law, there's so many law students that are now qualifying, and then there's so many non-law students as well. It's really hard for students to get the training contract in the end. So this mentoring scheme, having that mentor, it kind of gives you that better insight into getting that training contract, people who can actually help you with the applications. I've had quite a few students that I can think of. There's one that I've got at the moment. There's Ikra. I've had some in the past. There's a girl called Zaybun Nisar, who's now a trainee at Radar. I think it's kind of, what you get is what you put in. Having that experience to meet, your mentor is another form of networking, really, because, I may know people who are already working in the field that you want to go into. So it's a really good experience, and I've really enjoyed it.
For me, when I was a student, I didn't know any lawyers at all. My parents didn't know any lawyers. I used to say to them, why don't you know somebody who I can go on work experience with, like my friends' parents? And we just didn't. And, running schemes like this allow students who don't have any, family contacts to be able to meet lawyers. Sophie, you've been mentored this year. Can you tell us about your experience?
Yeah, so I had a lovely mentor who looked over my CV. Um, the help for that was immense. I'm a final year law student. I'm applying for jobs, and having a professional look over my CV and be like, "You've got the right things. You're wording it right." It was a weight off my shoulders to not have to worry about that. But even the opening night itself, once the nerves had settled, being able to talk to so many different people, it was it was a good experience for someone who was incredibly shy. But to be able to sit down and even to have 5 minutes speed dating with them,
they put you at your ease, don't they?
Yeah, and they're all so lovely, and they all kind of say similar things, and they've all been where we've been. So it's just really great to sit and talk to someone who's like, "You'll do it. It's possible," which was great. Yeah.
So in terms of why I came to Huddersfield, I've lived in Huddersfield all my life, and I came along to an open day with my mum for law, and that was really what sold it to me, that there were supportive tutors who were experts in their field, and I didn't really need to look anywhere else. Did you come to an open day?
I came to an open day as well, and I think it's similar experience. I remember walking in and going down to is it the business school? I think it was downstairs in the business school, and I walked in, and everybody, it just seemed like a nice kind of family environment, if that makes sense. All the teachers, like tutors and lecturers, are very supportive. I think for me, the thing that made me kind of come to Huddersfield and push me over the edge to, accepting the offer was that there was kind of no closed door policy. So you could go and speak to a tutor whenever you wanted. That help was always on hand. And I think that's exactly what I experienced. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah.
Sophie, did you come to an open day?
I did, yes. I had a family member who did a podiatry course here. And so I came to an open day. And to be honest, I think it was watching the lecturers who then gave you their background and how they got into law. And for example, one of them was a musician. It was just like, but it was reassuring, to be honest, to know that my lecturers have a career in law, they have the background, and they knew what they were talking about, and they could help you. So that's what really sold it to me.
We have a law careers fair that we run each February, and it's been running for 4 years now. We started just after the pandemic, and the university is all about helping students to get jobs after they've graduated, to use your degree to go out and to practice. And at the Law Careers Fair, we have employers from a range of different backgrounds. So we have firms of solicitors of different sizes and specialism. We have barristers, we have local authorities, Kirklees Council, Wakefield, Calderdale, the Court Service and the Crown Prosecution Service. And Sham, you've come and represented Ison Harrison on a stand at the Law Careers Fair. Can you tell us what that was like?
Yeah, I think it was a privilege. As I said, it's always great to come back and say to the students, I went here. I was in the exact same position that you were 4 or 5 years ago, and I've somehow made it, so you definitely can as well. I think the law careers or the law fair is quite new, isn't it? It wasn't really there when I was studying. So I think now the students just need to reap the benefits of it, because there's so many people, like you say. So there's people coming from the council, there's lawyers, there's barristers, and I had the opportunity to be on an alumni panel. And funnily enough, my mentor, I didn't even know he went to Huddersfield, but he was on the panel as well. And I think that you were presenting it. And it's so great to come back every year, and a student that would come to the law fair who's in year one and see the kind of progression that they've made year on year. And it gets more impressive every year. This year, in the February just gone, I had a student who was in his second year come up to me and give me his business card.
Wow.
And I'm normally the one that's giving my business cards out, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And he laminated it. It was in great font. And I was just thinking that's really, really impressive. And that's how you stand out to, other lawyers that are there. Because, you'll remember the student, and, when he messages me on LinkedIn or when he connects with me, I'll be like, you're the student that gave me the business card, and, I'm more than willing to help you out because I can see that you've got the effort. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. I'd highly recommend all the students to keep going and make as many networks as you can.
Sophie, you've been to the Law Careers Fair, I think, every year that you've studied with us so far. Can you tell us what the experience is like?
I'll be honest, every year is different with experiences. You almost want different things every year. First year and second year, you're probably looking at work experience, and then your final year, you're kind of looking at firms thinking, would I work for you? Do you have any jobs? But I've had so many friends come out with work experience as well. And being able to go talking to a firm that I then had work experience with in Easter, I spoke to a lovely lady, and I was on her team while I was there. So it just getting out and speaking to the solicitors, you just never know that you might have work experience there, you might get a job there, then you might know somebody, and then it just kind of eases you in, makes everything feel a little less scary.
I think as staff, we love bringing that experience to campus for the students, so that, you know, there are law fairs all over Yorkshire, but to have that on campus is something that that we're really, really proud of.
I think the thing that differentiates students here is that from other law fairs that I've been to, is that students here actually prepare in advance. So a lot of the students are coming up to me and saying, telling me facts about my own firm, and I'm like, I didn't even know that. So it's really nice to see the students preparing, coming with the right questions, rather than just asking for work experience, or rather, you know, just asking the obvious questions like, how do I apply? More like, what did you get from this experience? Have you ever been in that department? What do you think of this certain policy of the firm? It's really, really nice to see that students are concentrating on the types of firms, like Sophie said, because they want their personalities to fit with that firm. And, you know, every firm's different. I've had the opportunity to work for 3 different firms at 3 different levels. And it's, you know, students are now understanding that, which is good.
So we have a range of firms, different legal specialisms. We try and have local firms where possible: Ramsden's, Chadwick Lawrence, Schofield Sweeney, and we also have some of the national and international firms like Pinsent Mason and other employers like the Court Service. So in terms of the Student Law Society, it's great while students are here to be, you know, working as hard as they can on the course, but having their head in the books all the time isn't good either, and we want them to have fun and to make friends. So having the Student Law Society is really important. Sophie, can you tell us how you've been involved with the Law Society?
Yeah, so for the past 2 years, I've been on the committee as a social secretary and a vice president. Both very uniquely different experiences. But, you know, with my time there, we've done interview sessions for students with local solicitors. We've done Q&As to try and help students with whatever experience we have at the time, whether it be vacation scheme applications or anything like that. But honestly, the best thing that we did is the Law School Challenge, which we do with you.
The Law School Challenge is one of my favourite activities. So it's a national competition where law students across the country from different universities compete to raise the most money for legal aid charities. And we've been entering it for a long time. And last year we won. Came first out of all the universities in the country, and we got to go down to the House of Lords, didn't we, for a presentation by the Attorney General, and we had afternoon tea there, fancy cakes and sandwiches. Tell us, Sophie, about some of the activities that you and your fellow students did to win that prize.
Bake sales were a big part of that. Anyone that I met that could bake, I dragged them in. I met all my friends by dragging them to the Law
Brownies.
Society.
Everybody was baking brownies.
Yes. But it was just really great to share. I don't even know if a love of baking exists, but
It definitely does.
We all talk about what we're baking this time. Or the quiz nights, which we hold for local solicitors. Sometimes a partnership with the Huddersfield and Dewsbury Law Society, which again is a great way to meet the solicitors. Like, throughout my years, the amount of solicitors I can recognise at all these different events that have been to quiz nights, or, you know, they're at the law fair but they're at a quiz night. It's just it just all mixes up and you all feel a bit comfortable, and
really helps students with their enterprise skills that they can put on their CV, that they've organised events. The amount of organisation it takes even to organise a bake sale and to have the confidence to go round and selling buns and things like that is really great. We hold a lot of guest talks across all 4 years of our courses for our students and like to bring lawyers into the classroom, particularly our alumni where possible. And Sham, you've come back and given a guest talk to some of our first years this time. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, again, very, very fun and great to see the students again. So I think I came a couple of months ago, and the topic that I was speaking about was how to stand out as a law student. And I think it's such a good topic to talk about because, as I say, law is very, very competitive. I think I seen a stat the other day that there's 29,000 law graduates every single year upon year. And like I said, non-law students, and I think there's about 5,000 training contracts that come out. So it's so competitive. I think there's under 20% people who are actually qualifying as a solicitor. So you need to be able to stand out. The difference between a second class degree and a first class degree is pretty minor. But if you on your application have things like the law clinic, the mooting, winning that competition last year, it's such a good thing to talk about. So I was speaking to students about how I stood out, and it's things like the politics that I've done in the background, getting involved in extracurricular things. So one of the things that I did when I was younger is that I set up my own youth club, which was pretty cool. So I'm from quite a disadvantaged area in Leeds, and it was kind of my way of giving back. And we'd take children from the age of 11 to 18 into universities like Huddersfield, take them to art galleries, to kind of raise their aspirations. And that was such a good thing for me to talk about in my interviews and really set me aside from my competition. When you go on and when you go to vacation schemes in the future, when you go to open days, it's the things that you can really talk about and what makes you stand out in a room of law students that will kind of give you that edge, give you that push. And again, the students are so interactive. Everybody's talking about the different experiences that they have, that they stand out, and little things like having a part-time job. So one of the questions I asked students is, what is it that makes you stand out from the rest? And someone put their hand up and said, I work at Sports Direct on the weekends. And I was like, that is pretty amazing, because within that job, you're learning how to communicate, you're selling, all these kind of skills, leadership skills that you can talk about in an interview and being a lawyer, because any experience is good experience. It's just really how you tailor it. Actual law experience is quite hard to attain. However, a lot of the skills that we use in other parts of life are good for being a lawyer. So again, it's always good to come back, always good to be a guest here and, see the students again and raise their aspirations.
So a lot of the guest talks are to introduce students to our alumni and how to get jobs, so careers, tips and advice, and a day in the life, what it's like being a solicitor. We offer support to students at the University of Huddersfield right from day one of year one, that students are given a personal academic tutor. I think I'm both of your personal academic tutors. And we really want students to feel that they can come and talk to their tutors about anything, not just the academics on their course, but if there's anything in their personal life as well.
You always had that extra 5 minutes at the end of a lecture or a seminar to give that extra little bit of advice. One of my best friends now that I made on the law degree was called Danny. And me and him used to look forward to your seminars because we knew that at the end, you'd always have that extra 5-10 minutes just to kind of talk us through. And if we had an exam coming up or an essay to hand in, we can always rely on your advice, regardless of if it was to do with family law or immigration or EU law. You were always there to help.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
It's true.
We know that students aren't always comfortable putting their hand up and speaking in front of their peers in a large classroom. So yeah, I do always hang around for 5 minutes at the end just in case anybody wants to come to talk to me about anything that they didn't want to speak about in front of everybody. So thank you for that. Sophie, I'm your personal tutor as well. Can you tell us a bit about sort of how you've been supported and any of the wider university services that you might have used?
So I feel like I had a pretty big personal circumstance in the middle of term during my final year. And if I didn't have you as my personal tutor, I think I would have panicked. It would have been just immense panic. But within 10 minutes of speaking to you, we'd sorted out my attendance notices, signposted me to wellbeing, to talk through things like that, which was just so helpful.
Thank you. I'm glad you got what you needed.
But I've been to the career service at the university, I think, in my second year, and a lot during my final year, actually. And they are really helpful. They have like different services where you can kind of plan your career. And I had a really nice lady, and she sat me down and she was like, we just kind of worked back from where I wanted to end up. And it really helps you see the bigger picture, maybe, or more like the small steps in the bigger picture, which was really helpful. And they've looked over my CV so many times, given me advice on applications. So yeah, it was really great service.
That's great. So at Huddersfield, we're really lucky with the facilities that we've got. We're sat in the purpose-built courtroom that we use for our litigation classes and our mooting activities. But the wider campus is beautiful, especially in the summertime. There's lots of flowers. We're situated right next to the canal, and we're really lucky that we've got such a gorgeous campus.
One of the reasons why I came is that I went to quite a lot of open days at universities before I came to Huddersfield, and some of the universities were quite spread out, whereas in Huddersfield everything was in one place. And it's really, it's really nice, it's really easy, it's convenient. And then I think you've got obviously great buildings. Like you said, we're in a purpose-built courtroom, but just the Osler building, for example, it's a beautiful building. So yeah, coming to Huddersfield, coming for the buildings, coming for the easy commute and easy to get around. There's also great food as well. If you go downstairs to the cafeteria, it used to be called Neo's Pizza. I'm not too sure what it's called now, but
I think it still is.
It still Neo's Pizza?
The international kitchen.
Yeah, I used to get a barbecue chicken pizza. It was amazing.
Good recommendation. Sophie, you've left home to come to university, so you haven't grown up in Huddersfield like I have. How have you found it?
No, I've found it really well. So I moved up from Cornwall. I haven't even questioned it, to be honest, since moving here. But what I really liked about Huddersfield, to be honest, was you're a 30-minute train ride from Manchester, you're a 20-minute train ride from Leeds. If you wanted to get experience in the bigger firms in the cities, you had that, as well as also the kind of more regional firms in Huddersfield. So you can get whatever experience you wanted, and you weren't kind of limited to, I can't get there, because you could and you can. To be honest, that's what sold it to me, because I don't want to be in a big city.
In terms of the skills that we teach students on our courses, particularly on our 4-year practice course, we really mix the theory in with the practice so that students are really getting the best of both worlds. So we bring in a lot of guest speakers, particularly in the 4th year. So in family law and practice, for example, I had a solicitor who was a partner coming in to do a negotiation masterclass in dealing with matrimonial finances, and they supported the students in doing negotiation skills and how to make offers in court proceedings. So that was really great.
So the skills that I've got from my law degree, obviously being academic, so I was able to draft the documents, fill in the correct forms, kind of have the know-how, but I also had the practical experience as well. So things like, doing the mooting, doing the law clinics, being able to network with people during my undergraduate really helped me when I was actually in the real world of work. And one of the things about when you're in the world of work that nobody tells you about is that you're not only communicating with your clients, but you're also communicating with your colleagues as well. And that's obviously real life, because you're trying to build a relationship with your colleagues, learn. So for example, when I was in my undergraduate, I was doing different modules, taking the experience from the different modules and using them in real life. So I'm a corporate solicitor in the corporate department. The knowledge that I learned on my undergraduate about property law, I was able to apply that. And that's something that obviously Huddersfield really offers. One of the things that I regret about my time at Huddersfield is that I didn't do the 4-year course, which included at the time the LPC. Unfortunately, I went to do another degree, but all my colleagues and all my friends, I've got a colleague actually at the moment called Emma Hope at Ice and Harrison, and we've both ended up at the same place. However, we had different experiences on our degree, because she stayed on and did the 4-year course, which I would highly recommend, because you learn those real skills, the drafting skills, the form filling skills, which may seem minor at the time, they are very, very important. And learning key skills like being meticulous in your writing, how to draft emails. These are the key skills that you will be using on a day-to-day basis, which I think Huddersfield does instill in its degree.
On our 4-year practice course, we teach students a lot of the things that I see people say on LinkedIn, oh, nobody taught me this in practice. I love it when I see that, because I think actually that's what we do at Huddersfield. We teach students how to time record, how to care for their clients, how to minimise complaints. I even teach students how to ask for a pay rise, all the things that I wish that somebody had taught me that, we now pass on for our students. Sophie, you did some work experience at a law firm earlier on this year. How did some of the skills that you've learned on your degree prepare you for going to spend that week?
It was things like the legal research skills. Had a lot of research tasks, and I wasn't too sure when I kind of was like, right, this is what I found, and they're like, oh yeah, that's exactly it. I was like, oh great, great. It just really helped me cement that I knew what I was doing and that I could do it.
And it's those sorts of skills that kind of make you the whole package, isn't it? You can be very well academic, very well written in your essays, but it's the extra added skills that make you stand out in a law firm and, moving on to the next career. So when you do leave Huddersfield, again, you're not competing only with your fellow students at Huddersfield, you're competing with all of the law students of, all over the UK. So having those sorts of skills, learning how to, ask for that pay rise, or, learning how to, a lot of the tasks that you do when you put your application to be a lawyer are group tasks. And, if you don't know how to be a leader, be the timekeeper, and get other people involved, you probably won't be the best. But again, at Huddersfield, we're training everybody, and you're training everybody to be the full package.
I think that's what a lot of the lawyers who we engage from the local community to bring into our classrooms, whether it's through the mentoring scheme or from the professional talks, that lawyers know what they're recruiting or who they're recruiting when they recruit one of our graduates, and they know that our students can hit the ground running when they go into law firms. We hold a prize giving event as part of our graduation in the summertime, and it's a beautiful day, and I know both of you have won prizes before and have been to that event. Can you tell us about the prize that you won?
Is that on the graduation day? It was amazing. I felt very, very, very lucky to be there. So I think it was only a couple of days before graduation I got told that I won the Eaton Smith Award. You still name them after law firms. So I won the Eaton Smith Award for the highest grade in medical negligence. I don't know how I got that, but it was a great day. So you go to the original graduation, and then after that, there's like a separate ceremony for the people who win the awards. And I took my whole family, and they were, they were so happy. I've never seen them so excited, and it's a really nice, intimate event, which is obviously hosted by yourself. And I still remember getting on stage being like, how did I get this? And obviously getting all nice photos together.
It was lovely to see your family so proud of you. Sophie, you've won a prize before.
Yeah, so at the end of my first year, you emailed me and said, you've won this prize. I was like, oh, okay. Because I got the high, is it the highest average in the whole year?
Best overall student in the first year.
Okay, there you go. I didn't even know it was a thing. It was really great, to be honest, to walk around and see everyone graduating and everyone happy and excited and celebrating with their families. And it was just like a really great look into the future of what it'll be like for this summer.
In terms of my future aspirations, I think I'm quite new in my role, so I've only been qualified as a solicitor for about a year and a half, so I've still got a long way to go. For me, I think it's more important to kind of solidify and become an expert in my field, so I'm a corporate and commercial solicitor. But I think if there's one thing that I really wanted to do is get like a client base and have a niche. So one of my supervisors specialises in selling and buying football clubs. One specialises in selling care homes and dental practices. So I need to kind of find my niche. In terms of outside of work, I think I just want to keep, giving back as much as I can, doing things like this, coming to the university, maybe getting involved in politics here and there. Who knows?
Sophie, what are your future career aspirations?
Well, I'm looking forward to graduating in the summer. Looking forward to doing my further study for the SQE exams to get me on the route to qualifying. But in terms of areas of law, I'm really interested in keeping my options open. I think I've really surprised myself in my degree of actually being really interested in areas of law that I thought were kind of boring. So I think I'm just really open to getting that practical experience in any area of law and to really make sure I make the right decision in what I'll do for the rest of my life.
So in terms of career aspirations for me and personally, I want to keep on doing what I'm doing, inspiring students, inspiring the lawyers of the future. From a personal point of view, I'm coming towards the end of part-time study of my PhD. It's been quite an experience and I've learned so much from it in terms of the skills that I've learned, how to research, how to write at such a high level. I've been really interested in the topic that I've been studying and doing qualitative research, and how that PhD is going to then enable me to progress in my career, hopefully to promotions and to change the way that I teach students. So my advice to prospective law students is to come along to an open day, just like we've talked about, and to get a feel for the university, to talk to the tutors who are going to be teaching you. And I don't think there's any substitute for coming along and getting that first-hand experience. Can you see yourself spending 3 or 4 years of your life in a particular place?
Mine would be similar to prospective students. Come in, speak to all the lecturers, speak to all the tutors. There's no closed door policy here. Everybody's very open. It kind of has that family feel. But if I was to give, another piece of advice, it'd be confident, be resilient. Law is a long-term thing. It's good 5-6 years in the making. Little bits of successful makeup will amount in big success. So keep doing what you're doing, be different, network with your with your lecturers, network with your friends, and sooner rather than later you'll be the solicitor or you'll go on to do whatever you want.
I would have to say my advice would be to really step out of your comfort zone, and I know that sounds really scary, but I've bbeen doing it for the past 3 years and I just don't regret it. Even coming to an open day on your own, do it, invest in yourself. It's worth your time.